This corresponding Postdoc Academy module focuses on building a team, setting expectations, having productive conversations, and giving and receiving feedback. The resources for this postdoc mentor conversation will focus on this latter topic, since feedback is such an important part of any mentoring relationship. It's funny how I think we'd all agree that feedback is a critical part of our success, and yet, stop and think right now about how you would feel if I told you that I was about to give you my feedback. Pulse racing? Few of us are filled with happiness and joy when someone tells us that they would like to offer us feedback.
Feedback is the action of providing someone with information about their work outputs or specific behavior, emphasizing strengths and areas of improvement, and providing continuing support to induce positive and long-lasting change in their way of doing something. It is key to distinguish between opinion and feedback, as the two sometimes can be intertwined. Opinions are not always rational or evidence-based. Feedback should be rational and should have a goal that is focused on achieving something productive. Finally, opinions are completely intertwined with who we are, our own experiences, background, and identities. Feedback should always support the person or people receiving it instead. Who are they? How do they like to work? How can they be successful?
In their article, The Feedback Fallacy, Marcus Buckingham and Ashley Goodall describe 3 common misconceptions about effective feedback. The first is that you are aware of other people's weaknesses more than they are, and that the best way to help them is for you to show them what they cannot see for themselves through your criticism. The second misconception is that we all lack certain abilities that we need to acquire. And the third is that great performance is universal, analyzable, and describable, and that once it is defined, it can be transferred from one person to another, regardless of who each individual is. All of these myths are incredibly egocentric, and none of them are true.
On the receiving end, feedback can trigger different reactions. The first one is a truth trigger. This type of trigger is tightly linked to the content of the feedback. When the assessments or comments seem untrue, off base, or unhelpful, the feedback receiver feels wronged, indignant, or exasperated. The second type of trigger is a relationship trigger. This one is linked to the person who gives the feedback, their real or perceived expertise on the topic they're offering feedback on, or how previous interactions with that person have taken place. The last type of trigger is generated when the feedback affects the receiver's relationship with themselves. Regardless of the content of the feedback or the way it's delivered, it causes their sense of self to come undone. As a result, they may feel overwhelmed, devastated, defensive, or off balance.
Changing the destructive paradigms mentioned so far for feedback involves sharing your perceptions in such a way that the person you are talking to can find the coaching within your criticism. To that end, highlight what the other person is doing well so that they can do more of it. This is a great opportunity to help someone recognize what excellent work or behavior means to them instead of what excellence means to you. And you are highlighting a pattern that is already part of who they are. In doing so, that person is now actively going through the stages of learning, recognition, memory, application, and refinement, and are inspired to apply that pattern of success to other areas of their work and mentoring. Create an environment of psychological safety. If you are feeling angry or frustrated, wait until those feelings subside. The next one, and this one can be hard for me sometimes, listen more than you talk. To achieve this, you need to reject the idea that you always know more than the other person knows about themselves. Model curiosity and ask them what they think first, as it may give you something to respond to rather than something you have to lead with.
Be as specific as you can and share your reactions to their work or behavior using I, not you statements. The more facts you share, the more likely the feedback receiver will focus on processes and on how to improve them. Think about your timing. Did what you're offering feedback on happen recently, or are you bringing up issues from a year ago? Also, how prepared are you to provide the feedback? Have you considered how you will provide support? Finally, give the other person time to take action. Positive feedback usually doesn't take long to implement, but change takes time. It generally doesn't happen overnight, and may not even happen the second or third time someone does the same tasks. New patterns are harder to learn. practice patience, and observe and acknowledge the efforts made by your feedback receiver.
It may feel risky for any postdoc to provide feedback to their mentors. Besides the current power differential that exists, they also may come to the table with previous unmet expectations, difficult experiences with previous mentors, or other assumptions. Reflecting on these hesitations and writing down facts and main talking points can be helpful for the postdoc in these relationships. Seeing their feedback being received with curiosity and the willingness to learn from it will further encourage them to share feedback and suggestions. Working efficiently within a feedback culture requires that both mentees and mentors ask for and get feedback from each other in order to build relationships that are based on trust and mutual respect.
This module contains interviews with postdocs who share how they like receiving and providing feedback within their mentoring contexts. You'll also have access to a discussion framework and a handout, which you can use to prepare for the conversation with your mentor.